Hey guys and gals, so as you've probably noticed, I have a significant lack of videos to watch on my channel, and if it's not because I accidentally pulled a Warner Bros on my old stuff, it's because I tend to spend my time conceptualizing half-decent video ideas while also trying to accomplish important things in my life, such as having a real job so that I can avoid having an eviction notice in my mail. But this time I'm gonna do something that I wasn't willing to do in a while. Shit something out. Hey, if 99% of Hollywood can do it, then gosh darn it, so can I. Does anyone even say gosh darn it anymore? With all that being said, let's talk about Garfield.
Please don't eat me, Mr. Beast.
Everyone remembers Garfield. He first appeared in comics created by Jim Davis circa 1978. The comics followed a fat orange cat who hates Mondays, eats lasagna, and knows where you live.
No, you don't. No. Oh my god. No, that's my house! What? No, you gotta be kidding me. Is that...
But it wasn't always about the comics, Spider-Man. You see, Jim Davis was quite the businessman and wanted to make a good, marketable character out of his creation, and by God, did it work. This cat's puss is everywhere. TV, newspapers, t-shirts. Who would want that kind of exposure? Now, you see kids, this is a clever reference to how Garfield completely sold himself out with licensing. He's on TV, newspapers, t-shirts, and these officially licensed bike reflectors. These were real products you could buy in a stale box of Fruit Loops. With all these knickknacks and video games and washed up phones, just like my goat, it wouldn't be until the year of our Lord 2024, minus 20, that we would get a live-action hybrid movie based on Garfield. And it certainly won't be long until we witness Garfield on the big screen getting buried alive in elephant green screen effects in The Garfield Movie, starring Chris Pratt, not to be confused with Garfield, the movie. One of the earliest examples of what happens when you take a classic animated character and put them in a live-action setting. Cue the Rotten Tomatoes score. Infamously, Bill Murray blindly took the role of Garfield, believing that it was a film written by Joel Coen of the famed Coen brothers, the guys who did No Country for Old Men. But as he read further into the script, he found out that it was actually written by a bizarro version of Joel Coen by the name of Joel Coen. That one-letter difference was actually the guy who worked on Cheaper by the Dozen. Anyone remember that film? It's kind of like The Loud House, except the difference is that it has no fans, or at least ones I assume were names on Epstein's Island. Like, seriously guys, what the fuck's wrong with you?
Do you know what an anagram of nicest is? Insect.
Despite him regretting the role to this day and the movie being as critically successful as, I don't know, Garfield Eats, it still made enough money for a sequel where Garfield meets his British imposter, and an unrelated trilogy of animated movies made for your bargain bin. I would review them all in one, but that would be stealing from an auteur, and plus that would take effort, and I just want to get this one done just so I can watch real movies like this one. This is Garfield the movie. Get ready for a puss-pounding good time, guys. That is an actual review quote, I swear to God.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
Our film starts off with only the finest N64 graphics, and then we get our first line of dialogue.
I hate Mondays.
Oh my god, he said the thing, clap. Wait, it just dawned on me that this movie came out in 2004. You know what else came out in 2004?
I hate Mondays.
Honestly, they should be at a bar together. They would 100% agree to ship Nermal to Abu Dhabi. Speaking of, after Garfield screws with John's morning routine, he goes outside and meets up with...
Garfield, look, the milk truck!
Oh, atta boy, Nermal.
Okay, so already we have our first set of issues. For starters, this cat here is the ugliest son of a bitch I have ever seen. More importantly, he's the only animal in this entire film that's allowed to look like a cartoon while having realistic cat proportions. Meanwhile, everyone else is just a normal animal with annoying orange mouths plastered on top. It's extremely jarring. This was most likely a budgetary constraint, but could they have at least got a cat that looks like Nermal? Bro isn't even a kitten, nor is he even the same breed. Nermal, more like, normal. Anyways, rather than shipping Nermal to Abu Dhabi, he puts him through this Rube Goldberg-ass contraption just to drink. Don't say it, don't think it, don't say it. Don't think
Why
it.
do you come here?
Got milk?
Mouse!
Ah, my favorite character from Garfield. I love that this mouse isn't even looking directly at the cat and is just looking at whatever the filmmakers are holding above him. Not gonna lie, I low-key feel bad for this rodent basically being forced into labor, and he won't be getting his weekly rations until he films his bits for fucking Garfield 2004, the movie. None of that shit though. It's time for the Garfield staples. Watching TV and lasagna. I wonder who that's for.
Garfield, don't even think about it. That's my food.
What, was Bro gonna eat all this shit by himself? Greedy bastard. Unless, of course, if this is a backup plan for whenever Liz rejects him for the last time, and so he'll be doing a lot of emotional eating, even if it means to eat enough lasagna to look like Brendan Fraser in The Whale. Or Garfield, either works. Meanwhile, we get introduced to this TV presenter guy named Happy Chapman. He's allergic to cats and is jealous of his brother being famous. Gee, I wonder if he'll be the bad guy and villain of Garfield the movie 2004. Oh, and take a wild guess what happens to John's lasagna.
Garfield, did you eat all 4 boxes of lasagna?
Serves you right for leaving it on the kitchen counter. What do you think was gonna happen?
Let's go for a ride to someplace you love that always leaves you feeling pampered and refreshed.
Oh, I know. Chuck E. Cheese. No. Wendy's? Taco Kitty? Olive Garden.
Is he just listing off this movie's sponsors?
I will not bow to any sponsor. Play Raid Shadow Legend.
The only time I ever leave my cul-de-sac is when John takes me to the vet, which he's been doing a lot recently, and it appears to have nothing to do with me.
You know, this blatant exposition dumping would have worked way better if this was just inner monologue like in the comics. Did you know, gaming, that these things are called thought bubbles? This is why Garfield doesn't speak directly to humans, because, you know, they can't hear him. In this film, by the law of talking animal movies, he's still very clearly moving his mouth, yet no one hears him. Classic. Although he is right about one thing. John takes him to the vet, not because he wants to check on his health after consuming 4 boxes of Italian cuisine, but because he's absolutely down bad for the veterinarian Liz, or I think this is Liz. Look, I'm sure these actors were probably better in other stuff, but like, Liz was meant to be sarcastic and cynical, and yet she still had a caring heart, and she obviously loves animals. Meanwhile, John is a pathetic loser who probably has a midlife crisis. In this film, they're so boring and stock you could replace these two with literally anyone and nothing would change. If they're not Garfield characters, they're just random ass people from a Hallmark Channel original. But back to brass tacks, Liz has something important to tell him.
John, there's something important I need to ask you. Something that I wouldn't ask most of the guys who come in here.
Wait, no. I think I know where this is going.
I'm having an affair.
What?
Nah, that doesn't happen. But just as John's about to pull a Scott Pilgrim, Liz gives him a dog.
His name's Odie, and he's not gonna make it if he has to live his life in a cage.
Okay, so are we not gonna talk about Lyman? Yeah, I'm going there. For all you Garfield enthusiasts out there, Lyman was Odie's original owner that was there for John to talk to. This was until Jim Davis found out that he could just do the same thing with Garfield and so retired his character in 1983. That, or maybe John locked him in his basement, I don't know.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I don't think that's an Elvis haircut, my dude. As you can imagine, Garfield ain't having any of this dog shit, seeing Odie ride shotgun and just seeing him in general.
John, you had me a chick magnet, and now you got a dick.
It's at this point where the film becomes about Garfield being jealous of the new dog that quickly becomes John's favorite pet. They'll get lost later on and learn to reconcile, only for the owner to love them both equally in the end. I thought I was watching Garfield, not The Secret Life of Pets, which blatantly ripped off Garfield the movie 2004, absolutely shameless. Someone needs to sue Illumination right now. I demand it. I cannot stand for this plagiarism.
I think I'm going to blow Cat Chow Chunk.
Yeah, me too. What ugly pajamas. The next morning, Garfield does what a Garfield does best. Be a douche to Odie. And then they have a dance-off, I guess. You know, if there's one thing to give the movie credit for, aside from Bill Murray's acting, is that this dog, right here, he's such a good boy. Look at him. I don't care if he looks nothing like a cartoon. He's such a good dog. After that literal song and dance, Odie gets taken to a dog show. Garfield, feeling left out, chases the truck. Warning, diabetic felines are closer than they appear. Like, for real, how do they not see this guy?
Maybe I'll get a CAT scan. A CAT scan!
Do you get it? because he's a pussy cat. Blood thinks she's on the team. A bunch of dogs chase Garfield after he drops a racial slur. They play some music as a distraction, which leads Odie to do his little dance. And this just amazes everyone, as if a dog standing on his hind legs is the equivalent of witnessing the second coming of Christ. And guess what? He wins the contest. He wasn't even submitted. Bra just tried to fit in, and it worked. He even ends up at the front of the newspaper. You know the day must have been slow for news when a goddamn dog show winner ends up being on the front page. I mean, I suppose I've seen slower news days, I guess. Garfield returns home after a bunch of shit happens, and so he's so ticked off that he ends up taking his anger on a bunch of John's stuff. Then he gets crushed. Keep those human teeth the fuck away from me. Just saying, anyone who leaves their cat outside at night without a collar no less should not have the right to own a pet whatsoever. Oh god, John, please let him in so he'll stop singing. You think this was Bill Murray's cry for help? Odie comforts Garfield before he locks him out like the asshole he is. Good thing he does have his collar, otherwise, and it's gone. What the fuck, movie? I was hoping that if he had this collar on still, he'd be lost and someone would find him, and you'd be over. God damn. Anyways, Odie chases a delivery man, getting lost in the process, all thanks to our likable main character. John finds out about his missing dog and naturally goes from John Arbuckle to John Wick. Oh god, I wish. Instead, he's gonna have to cancel his date night with Liz. And for some reason, he just hesitates to tell her about his missing dog. Like, dude, just tell her. John?
I can't find him.
Why didn't you just tell me?
I guess I figured he was the only reason you were spending time with me.
Oh, okay, that's why. That makes sense for a guy who only visits the vet not to check on his pet's health, but to simp over a girl he knows is way out of his league. Then again, they both have as much personality as sandpaper, so maybe they do deserve each other. This movie made like $200 million, by the way. The TV presenter guy catches on to Odie being a lost dog, so he lies to this old woman who found him that he owns the dog. Of course she falls for it because some weirdo in a suit trying to look for a dog he knows isn't his would definitely be trustworthy, right? It turns out that Happy Chapman wants to take Odie to New York to become a star with animal abuse, hence the electric shock collars. Good god, this poor dog. Hashtag free my boy Odie. After failed attempts at convincing John about the dog napping, Garfield goes to rescue Odie himself. He meets up with the mouse from earlier and they solid snake themselves to this building. He enters the building's ventilation system and wacky hijinks ensue until he finally meets up with Odie again. He goes like, sorry for being a douche, I hope we're cool and shit. This is before Chapman comes back and... Jesus, PETA, where were you when this came out, huh?
The outside world looks down on a man marrying a llama, but our love knows no boundaries.
Okay, that's enough of that. Garfield follows them downstairs and grinds that shit like Tony Hawk. He ends up launching himself through the hallway, out the window, from the building, into a steel truck of lasagna. Bro should be dead.
And you're supposed to be dead.
I got better?
The dead speak indeed. He ends up getting taken and locked up by animal control. You see, John, this is what happens when you don't give your pets a license, you dumbass.
And for to carry me home.
Shut the fuck up!
Garfield, seeing how much he screwed up,
Guard, may I have some shoelaces, please?
I guess wants to hang himself. A bunch of cats in an animation error are put up for adoption, but the British celebrity cat runs toward the red plot convenience button and frees all the animals in the process. Garfield heads to the train station to find Odie while John and Liz look for their missing pets. Why the fuck does he have a seal of approval on his door?
Salmon, steak, or lasagna?
Steak. I hate lasagna.
Chris Pratt? He finds the train operator room after some dumbass leaves it open, because it's not a talking animal movie if the humans don't have duck shit for brains. He tries to stop the train, but he ends up pulling a bunch of switches and levers to a point of nearly causing a fucking railway collision. Holy crap.
People, hurry! Get in the way! I'm committing vehicular manburger helper.
You know, between this and the chipmunks being labeled as national terrorists, it's like they're trying to make these cartoons into blatant war criminals. What's next? Are the Smurfs gonna convert to communists? Okay, never mind. With the power of motion picture magic, Garfield reunites with Odie after stopping all the trains, with minimal injuries of course, but not before Happy Chapman corners them.
And let's see how you feel with 200 volts coursing through that thick canine skull of yours.
You do realize there's like millions of other dogs that could stand on their hind legs, right? Just as things go ass up, the prison escapees from earlier team up with Garfield to have an Avengers Endgame moment.
It's showtime!
The collar is now on his neck.
Kinky.
Shut up. And they electrocute that female dog.
This is for stealing my dog and my cat.
Nice. The real John could only dream of punching a guy like this. Now the pets are reunited with their owners. Everything's all good in the hood. Now the movie can finally end. Oh, and look at that. Liz and John got together because of all the neat chemistry they had, the build up to this moment. Yeah, I'm really invested in this. Like, the movie forgot that I was supposed to. And naturally, this would be the part where the movie ends. But it doesn't.
Ow, I feel good!
Oh shit. That was Garfield the movie, and it was cinema. A film so great that Bill Murray wants absolutely nothing to do with it.
So do you have any regrets?
Garfield, maybe?
At best, I'd recommend it for a bad movie night if you want to watch something stupid, but even then, it's not exactly worth it. I suppose the CGI isn't too bad for 2004, but at its worst, it's uncanny, unconvincing, and there's a surprising amount of animation errors. While we're on that subject, what's with Garfield's eyes? Are they just bloodshot? What kind of shit was he hitting up? Like, can I have some? Characters that aren't the animals are boring as hell. Literally nothing substantial happens until halfway in, and it very much feels like a Garfield movie in name and characters only. Practically nothing about this film adapts the source material well at all, though I guess that's a thing when it comes to making a Garfield movie, since the franchise isn't really known for storytelling as it is known for comedy and especially licensing deals. So you can just as much make it a Toy Story ripoff and just slap Garfield onto it the same way he slapped on literally every single household product imaginable. I like me some Garfield, but this ain't it, chief. 3 out of 10. I'd go for a lower score, but Bill Murray's deadpan acting as Garfield is legitimately perfect, and Odie is a good boy. He is a good dog. Perhaps I'll review the sequel at some point and maybe the animated movies, I don't know. I care about making this about as much as Garfield would care, because honestly, I could not give a single shit if I wanted to do those videos or not. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this lazy AF video, and I hope you guys have a great Monday, by which I mean you hate it. Bye!